Yeah, I mean, it didn't start great, you know, with losing the semi-final, but we got a great reaction on Tuesday night and we played brilliantly. So it's always good to win a derby, but in the fashion that we won it as well, you know, it was really good, emphatic performance. So, you know, we have another really tough game tomorrow against an informed Motherwell, but it's a game the players are really looking forward to.
You played with a little bit more belief.
I think they played with belief. Yeah, this season they played with a great belief. You know, I haven't been disappointed with them on too many occasions, Brian. You know, they played really, really well and forcefully. I think the pressure's off to a certain extent to what they had to face last year. You know, it was promotion or bust, really. They achieved that under a lot of pressure, and now the shackles are off a little bit more, and they're playing some great football. They're enjoying the football, yeah. The fans, enjoying the connection with the fans. It's all positive, although it could have changed quite easily. You know how important the derbies are to win for both sets of supporters in the city. So the recent record is good, and it was important to reinforce that on Tuesday.
What's your thoughts on Pedro?
Well, I have sympathy for him, you know. I mean, he's only in the job 7 months. I don't like to see any manager lose their job. And I thought at one stage, after they'd beaten St Johnstone and Hamilton, they were starting to look like the team that I certainly thought they were going to be. I thought with the investment they put into the team and the players they brought in, I thought they'd be strong. But obviously, they've had a difficult week, you know, and that sort of cost him his job really off the back of, you know, other sort of adverse results really. And at a club like Rangers, you're expected to win. And I think the statement more or less said that. The statement they put out yesterday in terms of they wanted better for the investment that they'd made in the summer.
They tried to do an awful lot in a reasonably short period of time with a whole host of new players coming in the summer. Some of these players that you just haven't gelled. Now I know it takes a bit of time, Neil, but again, you just don't get time, do you, as a manager nowadays?
Yeah, but I think the Rangers public and certainly by all accounts the board would have expected better results from what they're getting, and I understand that to a certain extent. It's a tough environment, the Old Firm, and maybe you have to question the appointment in the first place. You know, not many people had heard of him, and to bring him into that environment, you know, sort of not really knowing what he was going into, it's very, very difficult. You know, we've seen it before with other managers. And I did think, like I said, that they were starting to get on a bit of a roll. They were starting to look a decent team, but you know, the last week has sort of been a huge setback for them.
Is it hard enough being in that Old Firm environment when obviously you knew everything about Celtic, you wanted to speak to?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's an unforgiving environment, and the expectation is you have to win, and you have to do it in a certain style. I don't think, my opinion is they shouldn't go for a safe pair of hands now. They need someone to come in and make them better with the squad that they've got.
Do you think it's difficult for people to come into the hot seat at either Ibrox or Parkhead if they don't have a link to the club because perhaps they're overwhelmed by the job when they come into it?
Well, Brendan hasn't had a link with Celtic, although he understands the history of the club and the background. I think it does help to have that understanding of the environment that you're going into. And it's still eye-opening when you do come in. I mean, when I first came up as a player, you know, I was like, oh, wow, you know, I didn't realise how intense it was going to be. And I'd been playing in the Premier League for 5 years previously, so that even sort of surprised me. And I knew about the club, you know, from growing up. So, yeah, it does. I think it does help knowing the culture of a big club. It does help. And certainly Rangers have had their troubles over the past 4 or 5 years, so they're still very much in transition.
How would you assess the impact Motherwell have had this season on the league? And obviously, going back to Rangers again, but they put them out of the League Cup last year. They're up to third now in the league.
Well, it's a tremendous start and thoroughly deserved. I think they're playing very, very well. Strong team and mentally strong, and they play a certain way and it suits them. And Moult, they've got one of the best strikers in the country, and he's proved that over 2 or 3 seasons now. And Stephen's done a fantastic job so far. So room for, you know, I said the other day, I described it as a humdinger. I think it's a game that, you know, both teams are in pretty good form, so I think both managers and players will be looking forward to it.
I know in the past you've spoken about sometimes how difficult it can be to sustain performance levels from your team from on the back of the high from like the derby the other night, to then bring that into another game, and sometimes it's difficult for players because subconsciously they might not get themselves up for the games as much. Motherwell are obviously in fine form at the moment, but how do you as a manager try and get them to come again? Is it difficult?
Try and learn from previous experiences, you know, and everything was geared for a big night on Tuesday night, you know, but it could have went flat and it didn't. You know, the players responded brilliantly to the pressure, and it's a different kind of pressure. You know, we've an opportunity to establish ourselves firmly in the top 6 with a, you know, good run of games, but we're not looking too far ahead, obviously. And I think they owe it to themselves. You know, they let themselves down the last half hour against Motherwell when we were 2-0 up at home. And I think that's still pretty fresh in their memory as well. So we'll be reinforcing that to them over the next 24 hours or so.
There was a bit of needle after the game on online. I don't know how aware of this you are. Marvin put out a tweet, kind of trolling, if you like, for want of a better phrase, one of the Hearts players, Craig Levine, was speaking about it yesterday. Did you notice it? Something you're aware of? Or?
Only became aware of it yesterday. I don't like it. You know, I don't think it's necessary. You know, some of the boys think it's banter. I'd rather just leave it and enjoy the win and then move on to the next game. But there's obviously maybe a bit of history there, I don't know, but I've spoken to them already, and I will be reinforcing that as well.
Will you get any injuries back this weekend?
Stokesy is 50-50, and Danny we're hoping will be fit for Tuesday, but he'll not make tomorrow. And there's no fresh injury worries from Tuesday night. So we're sorry. No, he's just out jogging now, so he's still maybe a few weeks away. Maybe the international break coming up in first, second week in November. We're hoping he'll be back after that.
The Christmas period is obviously very busy. To get everybody back for that game.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would be good. It's a very heavy period and massive games. You know, we're off the back of Celtic twice, Aberdeen, Hearts, now Motherwell. You know, so it's been pretty intense, but we've played really well. We've played really well, and we'll have to do that again come December, because we've got some big fixtures there as well.
I know you're not surprised, because I think we spoke about this last year, that you expected these players to develop and grow this season. So is everything going to plan, do you think, for you?
In the main, yeah. I mean, I would have liked us to pick up more points, because I think our performances have deserved better. You've seen us play at St Johnstone and Dundee, and even Celtic Park, you know, away from home have been terrific. It was important to win the home game on Tuesday for a variety of reasons, so just to get our home form back on track as well. So yeah, I mean, in the main I've been delighted with the quality of performances and the way we're playing. We could score more goals, you know. I think that's been maybe something I wouldn't say criticised, but a bit of a bugbear, because we're playing very well, you know, we're creating a lot of good chances, and that pleases me.
Is there a bit of a learning process as well, perhaps, for some of the players, knowing the difference between playing well but then also winning games?
Yeah.
That extra step? Yeah.
I don't think we're the sort of team at the minute to grind out results, but I think they can. I mean, they did that very well last year at times. I don't think we're at that stage yet. So there's still a freshness, and there's still a good fluidity to the way we're playing. Maybe when the winter kicks in and the pitches start to cut up, then it might become a bit less amenable to play a good football. But the football and the style that we're playing is very, very pleasing.
You know, can I ask you a general question about managers? Boards nowadays, they tend to flick the switch really quickly and think they're not going right. Should there be a window for managers to go similar to players?
For me, there should be a period of time. You know, Frank de Boer got 4 games. I mean, that's crazy. It's absolutely scandalous. But money seems to dictate the game, and people have to remember these are our jobs. This is our livelihood. You know, no matter how much money you earn, you know, at the top level they earn, you know, really good money, but it makes no difference to us. It's our pride. You know, it's our professional pride at stake, our professional reputation, and that's worth a lot more than money. I did say at the start of the season, Scottish clubs in the main aren't trigger happy, but all of a sudden, you know, in the space of 4 months, we've seen 3 managers out of the Premier League go already. So that is a concern that trend might be seeping into the game up here, because it hadn't been the case previously.
Yeah. Managers down south, when they do get sacked, tend to be very healthily looked after financially, but clubs in Scotland don't have that. So could it put people off becoming managers? A couple of people who, at the moment, it's not for me because there's security in it.
Well, you get sort of, there are managers who have been in the game, have managed, don't want to go back to it. You know, they've had the time and said it's not. For others, it's addictive, you know, and you miss it. And then there are others who want to get into the game. It's, you know, while it's still a precarious job, it's very precious because there's not many opportunities to manage in the professional level. So in a country, if you include England and Scotland, of 60 odd million people, there's only 120 odd jobs around to fulfil. So it's quite some competition for that. But and you want to make an imprint on the game. You want to be successful. We all have our ideas and targets in the game, and no amount of money makes it any easier when you do get the sack, because it hurts.
Scottish football perhaps a bit more difficult than some outsiders might consider it to be. I mean, Pedro came in, struggled, Ian Cathro came in, struggled, even Ronnie Dyler to an extent. I know he won the league, but you know, eventually Celtic decided to let him go. From the outsiders coming in, is it more difficult than it might appear, do you think?
Possibly, yeah. Even for players, you know, some players have come from England thinking this is going to be a, you know, stroll in the park, you know, going away with their tail between their legs, you know, so you have to obviously have an open mind. I think the perception of Scottish football is improving, but over the last few years there's been a poor perception of Scottish football, and it's not ultimately true. I think the standard of football is improving. Crowds are great, you know, the crowds are great. Competitiveness is great, and there's an honesty about Scottish football still that you wouldn't get maybe in other countries.